Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the Siege Operator tier list. Today we're doing the Defenders. You guys enjoyed the first video a whole lot,
This is really the baddest list I've ever seen.
so I can't wait to see what you think about my much more controversial Defender opinions. As usual, we're going from S to F. S, once again, is main, meaning you can basically bring this operator every round and it'll work out for you and your team. F is throw, meaning that if you bring this operator, you're next to useless. They're just a weapon, basically. They're not bringing any real utility to the team, or maybe they're just so bad that bringing them is basically putting your team down an operator. So let's get this started. I'm just going to go once again in the order that the operators are on the tier list. First up is Alibi. Alibi used to be my favorite operator back when her gun had way less recoil and it had a 1.5 on it. She was S tier easily. She's kind of an intel op, they do have to shoot her clones to get them, but she did get the recoil nerf and she only has the 1.0. And if you want to do some of her strats like hide in her clones and stuff, you have to take off all your skins and all attachments on the gun, but I'm not going to put that against her because that's just a silly strat. But her gun, super high rate of fire, really good secondary gun, and also the AG12 or AS12, whatever it is, her shotgun that she can also bring is also really good. I just prefer the SMG. I think Alibi is a solid B tier. She brings a lot of intel to the team. Just having a nice fragging op is always a bonus. So Alibi, B tier. Rooney. If her Rooney still had a 1.5, she would basically just replace Mozzie and be up here in A tier. But she's still a pretty solid op. Her marksman rifle has the 1.5 and I think the 2.0 on it as well. And the Aruna gates are great for wasting utility as well as having a little bit of information. If they throw a flashbang through one to burn it, someone is near that Aruna gate and they're probably planning to come through soon. The only problem is attackers have so much utility now that it's really easy to get through an Aruna gate. And I think they take like 30 seconds or 45 seconds to charge back up, and then you have to shoot them to reactivate it. So especially with the addition of RAM, I think that brings her down a little bit, but she's still a really solid op. I'm going to put her just above Alibi in B tier just because her gates, you have to use utility to get rid of them. An Alibi clone, you can just ignore it or just shoot the base of it to destroy them and it's gone. Aruna gates are there and you have to do something about it if you want to go through that door or window that they're on. Azami. Azami, kind of hard to place. I know she's getting a rework soon where they're changing the Keepa barriers in some way. I think they're just going to make them smaller. Some people said they're going to make them to where they're not bulletproof anymore. I don't think that'll be the case. I think they'll just make it to where you can't hide your whole body behind one. You have to kind of, use it as cover, but it's not going to be perfect. I think that would be a nice nerf for a zombie because right now her Keepa barriers are crazy. And if you know how to use them, like if you know spots where you can get one-way angles or just set them up really nice on sight, you can also do that thing where you like throw it at the ground and run into it while it's deploying to make a V-shaped one. And you could throw one on top of that and it makes like a pixel bullet hole that you can shoot through. Plus she has Capcan's gun. I don't remember the name of the defender guns as well as I do the attackers, but amazing weapon. She lost the 1.5, but she hasn't really needed as much as a lot of other ops do, especially being on defense. I think Aruni's is Azami. I think Azami is S tier. There's really no sites where she's useless on, while some sites you might not necessarily think of bringing her. She's not going to be completely useless. She can even just use her zombies as ways to block stairways or doors late in the round where the defenders only have 20 seconds left and now they have to spend a little bit of time punching in a zombie barricade because they've run out of utility to get rid of it. I really don't see how a zombie could be any less than S tier when she's such a versatile operator. Now moving on to Bandit. I like Bandit a lot. I don't really enjoy Bandit tricking, but I'll do it, for the team if they need it. But he's really great when Thatcher is banned because, then it's so easy to Bandit trick, or even sometimes you don't even need to. You just place your bandits down, and now you're just an amazing fragging operator. The MP7 slaps, crazy rate of fire, pretty much no recoil. You got a C4, good secondary pistol, and he's entry denial, which there are only a few of. So Bandit, I'm gonna have to say A tier. Bandit's a really solid operator, been in the game since the beginning, and he's still picked a ton. Castle. Castle's a little bit more controversial. Castle can either make or break a round for your team. A Castle player puts down the barriers in the wrong spot, and now your team is blocked off from sight, or he cuts off a rotate or something. That can lose you the round. But a good Castle player can make it so intimidating for defenders to push a certain area. You can check out this video where I have 2 Castle strats that you can use. 2 dual strats that include Castle, if you want to check that out. But unlike Azami, Castle's not viable on every single site. Sometimes you just don't need a Castle, and it can actually be more of a detriment to your team than an asset. Or, at the best, he'll just put his Castle barricades on, like, outside doors, or doors or windows that face the exterior of the building. And yeah, they're there, but they're not really being that useful. But I don't think Castle's a bad operator. I'm going to put him at the top of B tier. Solid gun, but low rate of fire, but no recoil, which is nice. And he has a 1.5. He has the shotgun too, but no one really brings that. Plus, he has the secondary shorty, which is great for making rotations, head holes, feet holes, all that kind of stuff. Top of B tier, solid place for Castle. Caveira, the ultimate risk-reward operator. You bring her, you might get off an interrogation, win your entire team the round, or you might just get tracked down early. And really, if you're in more than a 1v1 with Cav, you're kind of screwed. Even with the shotgun buff, her shotgun is super weak. Her SMG is easily the worst gun on defense. Yeah, her pistol's nice, but you're always going to down people with it, so you have to either choose to interrogate or finish the kill. Sometimes you go for that interrogation, they had a second attacker nearby, you get finished off. So there's a lot of downside to playing Cav, but if you do get that interrogation off, you might win the round. However, it's such a rare occurrence, especially if you get scanned. If they know you're bringing Cav, they're just going to send 2 defenders to go track you down, bring a lion or a Dokkaebi or something. You're not going to be able to hide, and they're going to get you. If attackers are aware that there's a Cav in the area, 9 times out of 10 Cav is dying. I'm going to put her down in D tier. She's not throwing really, but there's just not a lot of opportunity for Cav to succeed, especially with the current meta. Everyone's fragging. They're not like focused on getting a hatch, so they're going to be just looking around to kill people. There's less of people being less aware and open to being interrogated. Clash. I honestly think Clash is throwing. The electric shield is nice, and it can be used very rarely on some sites. She can be okay, but if the enemy team brings a Clash, you're basically in a 5v4 already. Clash is not a good op. And also, if she's like constantly clashing and pushing you, there's going to be someone coming behind her. That's a free kill. You just pre-fire behind the Clash. Her SMG is nice, but it takes a long time to switch from the shield to the SMG. A ton of meme potential with Clash, but any real viability, I don't think it's there. I think she's a throwing operator. Doc used to be down here. He was pretty rough, but being that he has the MP5, I think his only has the 1.5. I think Rook is the only one with the 2.0 on it, but the 1.5 scope, it's got the P90 with the 1.5 if you prefer that. It's got the bailiff now. He can make rotates, and his stim pistol does a full heal plus overcharge, so it does like 140 health no matter what health you were at when you got stemmed. Doc is really solid. I think I'm going to put him just above Alibi in B tier. He's not going to be like an always bring operator. Sometimes you need more utility, but if you're on like coastline, a fragging map, Doc's not a bad idea. Or if you're just on a site where you don't need that much utility, Doc is always a good pick. Echo. This is one of those operators that's been suffering in the current meta just because there's not as much for him to do. He sits on site and you're not really going to be able to stop the plant. They increased him to a 2-speed instead of a 1-speed, which is pretty nice because now he can roam a little bit, keep one drone in his pocket. That's nice. The MP5SD is a pretty solid gun. It has, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right in my hands. It's got a little bit of recoil and it's really low damage because of that built-in suppressor. But he's not a bad op. But, back in the utility meta, Echo probably S tier. You're always bringing him. Now, I don't think he's bad. I don't really think I could put Echo in C tier. That seems like absurd. I'm going to put him just behind Castle in B. That feels about right. You're still bringing a drone, you're bringing intel, and he can frag if he really needs to. Maybe you can land a couple headshots. Ella. Ella is okay. Ella's like the definition of mid. Her SMG is, it's pretty good, but it's got a lot of recoil. Her, what is it, the FO12? Is that what her shotgun is called? Is complete garbage. Probably the worst gun in the game, maybe besides Cav's SMG. They're fighting for the last place spot. Good secondary with the scoped pistol. And her utility is okay, the Elemines, but they're not like game changing. You get hit by an Elemine, you just chill for a second, it goes away. You can even still take a gunfight with an Elemine and still, you're maybe in like a 55-45 win-loss now instead of a 50-50. It's not that big a detriment. Ella, C tier. Fenrir, the newest defending operator. Fenrir is really solid, especially on maps like Consulate or Emerald Plains, maps where there's a lot of hallways and like doors you have to move through. He can be really overpowered in those settings. Plus, he's got the MP7, just like Bandit. He has the Bailiff as well, so he can make head holes, rotates, all that stuff. I think Fenrir is really solid. I'm going to put him below Bandit in S tier, and the reason I'm putting him in A tier, sorry, not S. The reason I'm putting him at the bottom of A is because for more open maps, like say Oregon or Coastline, where you're not fighting as close quarters, Fenrir is way less useful. If you know that Fenrir is in a room, say it's in VIP, but the room is big enough to where you can just avoid the Fenrir entirely, it's not as useful. Frost. Now, as of the making of this video, the Frost rework is still not out, at least on console. You can't pick yourself up from the mats yet. But even when that comes out, I really don't think it's going to change Frost that much. Solid gun with the 1.5, but it is a slow rate of fire. She does have the secondary shotgun, which is really nice. Frost is a solid op. It's just that her traps are so hit or miss. You might bring Frost 3 times a game, and out of those 9 Frost mats, maybe you get 1 hit. It just kind of seems like if your opponents are paying attention or not. Some games you might get like 3 Frost kills, but then the next 5 games, no one even hits a Frost mat. So she is extremely hit or miss. I'm going to put her top of C. Yes, you do have to acknowledge Frost mats when they're there. Like, you have to shoot them coming off of windows and stuff. But most of the time, they're such a non-factor where you just see them on a drone, or you don't even see the Frost mats throughout the whole round. No one even shoots one. You don't know where Frost put them. I think she goes top of C. Not a bad op, but not great either. Goyo. Goyo really needs a nerf for the duration of his gadget. He has 4 of these canisters, and they each last 15 seconds, which means or it might even be 20, I'm not even sure. If you put them on one doorway, they can't push that doorway for an entire minute, which is just crazy to me if you're able, to time them out. So Goyo, I think just because he's useful on pretty much every site, as long as you're putting your Goyo canisters near site, they're gonna deny an entire area for a long period of time. Plus, they do a ton of damage. Whereas, say, opposed to Fenrir, it doesn't do damage, it just blinds opponents. You get stuck in a Goyo canister, you're probably dead. A tier for Goyo. Jaeger. Jaeger has been a lot less useful since they changed the ADSs. They used to have 3 charges each, and then they would be completely burnt. But that means that you could put 3 in one room and deny 9 utility from flying through that room. Now they have infinite charges, but they take 10 seconds to charge, to become ready in between each use. So you throw 2 flashbangs in, only one of them is getting caught by an ADS, and then the other one is going to go off, as long as it's within that 10-second window. But still, solid gun. I think, is he the only attacker with an AR? I think so. Really good gun. Doesn't have a sight on it, only the 1.0 sights, but still solid. Problem is, Jaeger doesn't really bring a lot of utility besides his gadget. He doesn't have a secondary shotgun. He has barbed wire, observation blockers, and a bulletproof cam, which pretty much only the bulletproof cam is useful there. And he doesn't have the 1.5 scope, even though his gun is really good. I think Jaeger goes top of B. If he gets like a bailiff or something, he easily jumps to like mid A at least. But just because you know, he can only set up his ADSs and then he's basically done helping the team. It brings him a little bit lower, not being able to help with site setup. Kade in every way to me is just a better bandit. His gun is okay, you could say it's slightly worse, but he does have the shotgun you can bring if you want a 1.0 scope. Then his Kade claws are just better versions of the Bandit battery. You can throw them, you know, you can get stuff through floors like on Canal, or you could throw them like in weird corners and they can't get EMP'd. You can still trick with them, even though it's, you know, it's not as effective as Bandit tricking. He's still got the C4. Kade is just all around a better version of Bandit, and there's a reason why he is banned pretty much every every ranked game. Kade is getting banned because he's such a nuisance to deal with. You gotta find the claw, then get an EMP close enough to hit it, or send in a Twitch drone and try and get the right angle to take it out. Easy A tier, top of A. Honestly, you know what? Thinking about it, I think Kade goes S. Reminding myself of how much he gets banned, I think Kade goes S tier. I don't think he goes above Azami just because his gun has such a slow rate of fire, but you know, if you bring a Kade every round, you're gonna be useful. Especially, he's the only one that can deny hatches, really. Kade, S tier, I think that checks out. Low S, but still S. Capcan, the man that every single person on console is terrified of. I like Capcan. I think he's overpicked. I think there's a lot of maps where he's not really useful, or where his Capcan spots are such common knowledge that you really don't have to worry about him that much. You know where he's going to put like at least 3 of them. But still, same gun as Azami. Really great. He has the C4. He's just like an all-out fragger. His gun's great. His ability's great. His C4, get kills with that. Capcan just has the potential for so many kills that is hard to not justify putting him, you know, somewhere up here. But where does he go? I don't know. I think he's gotten like a passive buff with how aggressive everyone is being. I think honestly you could justify putting Capcan in 8. If you get to play him in ranked, if he's not banned, you're probably going to grab a kill or 2 with his Capcan traps, just because, you know, you put one near sight at the end of the round, they have to push in, you're probably going to get a kill off of that. Or you put them in some common entry spots and people just aren't droning as much as they used to, you'll probably get a kill with that as well. Bottom of A, Capcan. Warden, the 1.5 mogul. I really don't care for Warden. I think he's a meme operator. I bought his elite skin because I thought it would be funny to get one for like an absolute useless operator, and then they gave him the 1.5, and every Zim in the game started maining him, and it just kind of ruined my joke. Yes, the MPX is really good. His gadget, it's useful when it's useful. You know, if they bring a Ying, or if you're somehow last alive as Warden, and you're getting flashed out on sight, you can even those odds back up. Honestly, besides that, he's just a pretty useless operator. Yeah, his gun is good, but he's not the only person with a 1.5. He's not even the only person with the MPX. I think Warden goes D tier. Top of D, yeah. He does have the C4, but he can't really help the team in any way. His gadget is a selfish gadget. Once he loses the 1.5, I think we'll see a similar trend like we did with Oryx, where people just immediately stop playing him. He'll show he was only good for his fragging potential, not anything else. Legion just got a crazy buff. You actually can get kills again with Legion mines. They aren't just for intel. You can stack them. They can't be seen by IQ. Yeah, they're not invisible anymore, but it's not a big deal, especially when you use them on staircases or behind doorways and such. What is it, the TP5? TR5? I can never remember. But his gun, or is it just the T5? Anyway, his SMG is crazy good. So much damage, such a high rate of fire, pretty much no recoil. And he's got the secondary shotgun now. Legion's A tier just right now because he's just such a crazy operator. He does have to load his gadgets, but they load even faster now. I'm trying to decide if he goes above Capcan or not. I don't think so, just because you get hit with the Legion Mine at full health. Yeah, you take a little bit of damage, but it's not the end of the world. And you can see them pretty easily if he's not hiding them in debris or something like that. So I think he goes just below Capcan in A tier. Another positive with Legion, he's never going to get banned. Where Capcan probably will get banned because he is such a deadly operator. Legion, you're going to have access to him pretty much every game. Maestro. used to be S tier easily, but now you can punch its cams. Lost his 2.5. They cut down his magazine size from 100 to 81 and added a little bit more recoil. He still has the bailiff, which is nice. Honestly, Maestro is so like next to useless these days, especially if you're just sitting on your cam trying to shock people. It would just be better if you were, you had your LMG head up and you were just spraying at entry holes or shooting through windows and stuff. And it makes his gadget really hard to justify. I'm gonna go ahead and put Maestro like mid C, just below Frost. Yes, his gadget is bulletproof, but in order to use it to its fullest potential, you have to make it vulnerable. Maestro just isn't useful right now. Maybe in the future they'll do something to bring him back. If he had a 1.5, he's probably jumping up to like mid B, just because that LMG is crazy. Right now, staying in C. Melusi. This is an operator that desperately needs a buff. When they took away her weapon and gave it to Oryx, and then took away the 1.5, and then took away her C4, and then made her gadgets no longer bulletproof, really hurt Melusi. She was easy A tier when she released, especially because you could put her gadget somewhere, then put a C4 beneath it, like on the floor below, and as soon as they hit the gadget, trigger the C4, set up traps that way, turn her into like a pseudo trap operator. She still gives you intel, which is nice, but I don't think it's ever really worth bringing a Melusi anymore, especially when barbed wire does pretty much the same thing as her gadget, and you can still bring an op with, like, instance, you could bring Jaeger with barbed wire. You essentially just brought Jaeger and Melusi. Melusi, better than Ella, but I think she is also a C tier op. Mira. Mira's pretty good. It's been really good for a long time. Only has the 1.0 scope, which is a little disappointing, especially on the Vector. Her gadget is just so game-breaking that it's hard to put her on a lower tier than like B or A, because on some sites like Basement of Bank, that's you bring Mira if she's available. It's just like a default. You don't even think about it. Basement on Oregon, you bring Mira to watch construction. It's just like a given. If you got her available, it's probably a good idea to bring her. She brings a one-way shield. You can put them on soft walls, hard walls. Again, go back to that video I linked earlier. I'll show you how to play Mira on Nighthaven Labs. It's just such a versatile operator. She brings a C4 too, great for plant denial if you set it up watching default spots where people usually plant. Great for area denial if you just don't want someone to push in towards a certain area. Put a Mira there. You don't even have to have someone playing on it. Just the sight of a Mira will terrify an attacker. Because of that, I think she goes A tier, just above Fenrir. Because they are both intel ops, but Mira is real-time intel. You can be looking at an attacker and they just can't do anything about it. Mozzie, this is like mini Warden. Well, I think Mozzie's better than Warden. Ability to steal drones, pretty great. The problem is that all Mozzie players are not sitting on their drones. They're just throwing down their pests at the beginning of the round and then just run around fragging for the entire round. Where you should destroy drones during prep phase, then put your pests down, because now, maybe you get all 5 drones during prep. Now you have a potential to get 8 out of 10 drones because of the pests and turn them to your side. And really, if Mozzie sits on site and just drones out for his teammates, he becomes such a better operator. And then if you're the last alive, you still have the Rooney with a 1.5 scope, C4. Maybe you were able to keep a couple of your drones, keep them on site, and have your dead teammates watch them. Mozzie, super solid operator. Problem is, the players playing him. Now, all that I just mentioned is like the ideal scenario for Mozzie. He's not always going to get all that to go right. Sometimes he might not even get a drone. So just because of how much has to go right for Mozzie to work, I think he stays in B tier. He's above Doc and Alibi, obviously, but I'd still rather have an Rooney gate than a Mozzie. Defenders will just waste their drones on Rooney gates all the time just to get rid of them. So you're still destroying drones, and you can bring the Rooney if you want, just not the 1.5 version. So yeah, Mozzie, mid B tier. Mute is incredible. He can deny more than half the attackers just by placing down his gadgets. If their gadgets go near the mute jammers, they're done for. He can get rid of drones. He can block off lines of sight from drones. He has the C4, 2 great primary weapons, although I usually bring his shotgun. Plus he has the SMG-11, and he has a C4. I don't know if I said that already or not. You can use the shotgun to make rotations, all that stuff. Mute's top of S. Mute's might be the best defender in the game, to be honest. There's not much he can't do, and he's one of the few ops with amazing utility and amazing fragging potential. Mute, top of S, easily. Oryx, I think Oryx is pretty useless. I think it's stupid that they give him the Bailiff, because his ability is the Bailiff. I know he takes damage, but I think he should have to choose if he wants to help the team and make rotates or not, and like sacrifice some of his health. They made his jumping ability a little bit faster. I don't think that's going to affect much. Honestly, his ability, much like Warden, it's just a purely selfish ability. 90% of the time, he does have the ability to make rotates, but, you know, he has the Bailiff, so you're not even using the ability for that. So it's like, can you really count it as an unselfish ability? The only thing he's really good for is, like, say top floor cafe, he can clear out the entire bar, like destroy all the soft wall for it. He's really good at that. Like when you have a long area that you need to open up, or you need to destroy like table legs or something like that. Or chair legs, not table leg. You need to destroy a bunch of chairs. He's good at that, but honestly his ability is, you know, very situational, whether it's gonna be useful or not. And then, you know, you hop up a hatch, you might get slammed from someone just waiting there. They're definitely going to hear you, Oryx rushing around. Put Oryx top of D just because he has the T5 and it's such a great SMG. But yeah, top of D tier, Oryx. Pulse. I really like Pulse. I've been playing him a lot more recently, especially with how keen defenders are on like rushing sight. They just get onto, or attackers just rush onto site. They try and mass take it with like Sins and Ging and Blaz and Gridlock. You just sit before with Pulse, you wait for someone to stand still, bang, C4 kill. Now defenders are panicking, and you have a hole in the floor that you can look through. If you killed the diffuser, you can guard it from the hole. You bring the shotgun for super close quarters maps, like, you know, you bring it on coastline, you can just start spraying people through the floor, easy kills. You can track down attackers that are trying to flank. Plus, if you want to bring the UMP, great gun. 1.5, pretty much no recoil, slow rate of fire, like I said with Castle, but whatever. Only problem again, Pulse, same as Jaeger, no real ability to help set up sight unless he brings the shotgun, but if you bring that UMP, you basically can't do anything in the prep phase besides, you know, put down reinforcements. But even still, I think Pulse is super useful, as well as having unlimited intel, the ability to just point out people for your teammates and just be like, hey, he's sitting out here, or he's sitting above, I used my C4 already, but I'll live ping him for you and trace him through the floor and you can get the kill. Because of that, Pulse, definitely A tier. I think he goes just below Mira, because you are vulnerable when you have the pulse scanner out, or the cardiac sensor. Great defender. You can bring him pretty much most of the time. If there's a soft floor, bring Pulse. He's going to do some damage. Rook. Rook is like Doc, but he gives everyone a little boost at the beginning. And then not much after that. You have to choose whether you want to bring proxies or impact grenades. He does have the MP5, which is a pretty solid gun. But honestly, I don't think he's that great. Doesn't have the ability to make rotates and stuff unless he brings the impacts. And then you're sacrificing intel by not bringing proximity alarms. I think Rook, just because he does have a pretty good gun, I think he goes right behind Maestro. In C tier, Maestro at least brings cams where, you know, Rook, you're pretty much just going to shoot at people. That's all he's really doing. Rook armor's nice to be able to pick yourself up when down, but it doesn't come into play all the time. I think Rook stays in C tier. Now, Smoke. Smoke is very good. Has similar ability to Goyo, and Goyo's kind of stolen some of his thunder, because anyone can use a Goyo canister. You know, Goyo just puts them down at the beginning, and you can use them. Smoke, you have to stay alive, and yes, they do damage, but they don't last as long, and they're a smaller area of effect. They don't go through walls anymore. Shotgun plus the SMG-11 is very nice, though. A very deadly combo. And he can bring the FMG-11 if you want a primary machine gun, and you still get the 1.5 on it. So that's pretty nice. But honestly, I don't think Smoke is as good as he used to be, especially with Goyo being able to do his job for him. I think Smoke goes top of A. You can still, help out with sight setup because you're pretty much always bringing the shotgun on Smoke. I think he's gone down a little bit with how good Goyo has become. Solas. Solas got to be one of the most underrated ops in the game. I don't see her played nearly enough. She is so scary to go against. Can see your drones, can see when you get on drones, so she knows when you're vulnerable. Can't really drone her out just because of who she is. She has the P90, so you push her with two people, she has enough bullets to take on both of them and still be able to shoot someone else even without reloading. SMG-11 secondary. You can bring her shotgun if you want to kill, planters beneath the floor without having to waste your impact grenades. Just Solas can do so much. She does have to stay alive, which is the only problem with her ability is you have to stay alive. But honestly, I think she goes bottom of S tier. You can bring Solas all the time, and you're always going to be useful. Just being able to clear out drones is such an underrated ability, especially if defenders free place a drone somewhere, like in lobby on bank, and they're like, oh, we're going to go through lobby, have a drone pre-place. Nope, Solas took it out. Now you don't know if it's clear. In your head, you're thinking Solas is still roaming here. Yeah, easy S tier for Solas. Junka, you're throwing. If you're playing Junka, I don't know. His gun makes can make crazy rotates. You can take out whole walls with the LMG. But honestly, why would you just not bring Capcan's gun with his 2.0 scope on it, which is crazy? His Shamika launcher is so weak. The area of effect is so small, and then it takes forever to reload, and defenders know when you're using it, you're super vulnerable. He's like one of those ops where you think you would be good. We heard about the Tachanka rework. We were like, Tachanka's going to be great op now. But still, he's just not good. And if you bring the LMG for destruction, it is such a trash gun to get in actual gunfights with that there's pretty much no reason to bring it. So I'm putting Tachanka in F. You can hate me if you want, but the Lord is going down here. Thorn. Thorn is interesting. Her gadgets pretty much never get kills. If you get killed by a Thorn gadget, that's a sign you need to get in the lab and start improving. Her gun actually has great. You can't make rotates, but you can make head holes and feet holes really quickly because it shoots a 50 caliber bullet out of an SMG, the Uzi, and it has a 1.5, but it has a slow rate of fire. I don't think Thorn is bad, but I think she goes top of C. There's just not her gadget is more just temporary intel. You're never really going to get kills with it. And I don't feel super confident using her gun in gunfights, even if it does hit like a truck and it's a 1.5. The slow rate of fire really brings it down. I'm putting Thorn top of C tier. Thunderbird, worst Doc. Used to be better Doc. Thunderbird came out and it's their rework of Doc, and she was so much better. But they took away her impacts and C4, made her gun worse, which that was because of Finka, not really her fault, but still, doesn't have a 1.5 or anything on it, pretty hard to control, and now her gadget only heals you, 20 or 25 health? They do load faster, but attackers know when you're on them. You can hear when a defender gets hit by a Kona station, so you can kind of sound out, figure out where they are, even if it's unintentional, you're just running back through sight. You hit a Kona station, attackers know he just went right here. I can start basing my play off of that. I think Thunderbird, I think with all her recent nerfs, I think she goes bottom of C tier. I was trying to say D, but D is a useless op, pretty much. Where Thunderbird, at least you can get healed. The spear is, at least it's, semi-high damage. It's just hard to control, but if you can control it, it's okay. Bottom of C tier for Thunderbird. Valkyrie. Valkyrie is still a solid op to me. Doesn't get used as much anymore. She used to get brought every round, but I guess without being able to throw them outside. And now she has limits in the map. Some areas count as out of bounds for some reason. But the MPX is still really good. Just doesn't have a 1.5. Has the C4. Can set up C4 traps with their Valk cams, or can just give crazy intel to your team. Has the Deagle to make some footholds or whatever. I think Valkyrie's A tier. to be honest. I think she goes just below Pulse. Right there. Valcams are still a great weapon or a great utility, even in the gunfight meta. Plus, anyone can get on them, which is dope. Vigil. Um, it's hard. It's hard not to put Vigil in F, but I think because he is such a fragger, he goes bottom of D. It just barely gets him out of F. He can get hit by lion scans now. I don't really like the Kia or the KIA. I don't think it's that great a gun. Secondary SMG is nice, or you can bring the stapler. But again, a selfish ability, you're only helping yourself. Plus, people aren't droning as much, so your ability is not useful anyway on top of that. And you still see the squiggly little lines, the little audio lines. So you know a Vigil is in the area. It's not like he's completely hidden from the drones if he's moving around. So I think bottom of D is fine for Vigil. Wamai. Wamai's mines or magnets need to charge faster. If they charged, like if you could get all of them off and there'd still be like a minute or 45 seconds in the round, he'd be up here. But because they take so long, it really brings him down. He does have the 1.5 great gun, the MP5 SK. It's it's a low damage, but also super low recoil. I think Wamai gets brought down because of that. He brings a lot of utility, but his utility is limited by how long he can stay alive, so it's hard to gauge it. But I think Wamai goes, try to decide, like somewhere in here. With the 1.5 on his main weapon, I think he can go ahead of a Rooney, but I can't put him any higher than that. And he has the Kratos to make head holes, but that's pretty much all you can do with it. My mid B, I think that's fine. And that is the tier list. Somehow this took even longer than the attackers. But I think by the end of it, it came out pretty solid. Let me know what you guys think. I think this was pretty fun. Let me know your disagreements in the comments, or if you have any changes you think you would make to the list, let me know. But that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.